In the beginning, we see how Andrew's typical morning is. He gets up, rushes to get Margaret's coffee, and makes sure he doesn't spill it by running to work, due to oversleeping. He gets to work on time but unfortunately bumps into his colleague and spills the coffee on his shirt. He goes to his college and promises him tickets to a game if he were to give him his suit. Everyone is afraid of Margaret, especially Andrew because he's with her all the time. Margaret walks into the building, and one of the colleagues sends a text to everyone to straight up and watch out for the witch. She walks into the office and everyone gets quiet. Bob gets into her office, and as they're going through all the documents, they get a call from their coworker Bob. Margaret signs to Andrew that they will be going to Bob's office. She lets Bob know that she will be letting him go in 2 months, and Bob doesn't take it well. He gets out of the office and starts screaming and insulting Margaret. She tells him that she will call security if he was to continue yelling, and that shuts him up after all. Margaret tells Andrew that he's going to be working on the weekend, and he says that he has to go to his grandma's 90th birthday, but that doesn't matter to her. Andrew receives a call that Margaret should go upstairs to the boss's office immediately. She tells Andrew to get her in 10 minutes. Margaret is devastated to find out that she is going to be deported in a couple of days because of her visa expiration. As she's trying to convince her bosses to stay, Andrew comes in and calls for her as they had arranged. Margaret sees him and an idea pops into her mind that's about to change everything. She drags Andrew to her and announces that they're getting married. Everyone's confused as they stare at each other. Andrew confirms that they are, and the boss tells Margaret that she will be able to continue working, as she will be allowed to stay in the country. Even though Andrew isn't fond of the idea, Margaret's threats make him do it. They go to the immigration office and talk to Mr. Gilbertson. He doesn't think that their relationship is real and lets them know that Margaret would be deported, and Andrew would go to prison if their engagement is a fraud. Even though they're scared, Margaret tells Mr. Gilbertson that they will be going to Alaska the upcoming weekend to meet Andrew's family. Mr. Gilbertson doesn't believe them, but he schedules a meeting on Monday. The couple leaves and Andrew makes her promise that she would promote him to the editor, or he's off the deal. On the plane, Andrew lets Margaret know that she doesn't know anything about him, and that she has 4 days to make sure they pass the interview. They arrive and Margaret isn't as fond of the place, because she isn't used to such cold weather. They get on a boat even though Margaret is scared of the water because she can't fly. On the way there, Margaret sees that there are a lot of shops with the name Paxton all over town, and realizes that Andrew has a family business. They arrive at the house and Margaret is amazed by its beauty. Both of them are shocked to see that there's a party at Andrew's house. They feel the need to make everyone see their love and affection, so they think of a plan to make everyone know that they're engaged. Andrew gets pissed off by his father's pressure to join the family business, so he decides to tell everyone that he and Margaret are engaged. That doesn't go well though, as they make them kiss, twice even. Everyone is happy, but Margaret and Andrew realize what kind of mess they're in. Andrew's mother and the grandma show the couple their room for the weekend. Margaret is surprised to find out that she will have to share a room with Andrew. She accepts the fact because she needs that marriage more than Andrew. The grandma gives them a blanket that's called the baby maker, as she leaves their room with a smile on her face. Andrew puts a blanket on the ground and goes to sleep. Margaret tells him to close his eyes because she's wearing a rather provocative pajama set. Andrew sees her and laughs at her, but she says that it's because she had thought that they would be staying in separate hotel rooms. Margaret gets woken up by a phone call the next morning. She takes the call and goes outside. She forgets to close the door and the family dog escapes. Andrew's grandma had warned her to close the door, because if the dog was to escape, the eagles could eat him. An eagle grabs the dog while Margaret's on the phone, but thankfully Margaret saves him. The bad thing though, is that the eagle had grabbed Margaret's phone. Andrew's mother and grandma watch Margaret and think that she's playing with the dog, when in reality she's offering the dog to the eagle so she could get her phone back. Andrew goes out and tells her that he could get her a new phone and hugs her, saying that they're watching, so they should act like they're in love. He also tells her that she has to go shopping and sightseeing with her soon-to-be mother-in-law and grandma. She doesn't want to, but Andrew hugs her to shut her up. Margaret goes to get ready and Andrew decides to visit his father at the golf court. That soon turns into a bad idea, as his father pisses him off by pressuring him to take over the family business, so Andrew tells him off again. Things aren't looking good on the other side of town, as well as Margaret realizes that she's at a strip show. She gets called on stage and a funny-looking man dances on her. She goes back to the table confused and disgusted, but smiles, as she doesn't want to offend her soon-to-be relatives. After a fun afternoon, the ladies go back to the house. They see Andrew chopping up a large piece of wood as they approach the house. Andrew's grandma advises Margaret not to talk to him, as he only does that when he's angry. Andre's mom knows what's up and goes to his father immediately. She asks him what he had done to piss off his son, and he tries to escape the situation. She has had enough, as she tells him to fix the situation, because that could push Andrew to never come back again. Margaret excuses herself and goes to take a shower. She can't seem to find a towel on her way out. At the same time, she's looking for a towel. Andrew walks in and grabs it before heading to the balcony. Margaret opens the door and sees the towels. She goes to grab one, but the dog comes in and starts barking at her. Margaret starts backing away because she's scared of it. While she's trying to get past the dog, Andrew is on the balcony taking his clothes off. Margaret can get past the dog, and as she leaves the bathroom, she bumps into Andrew. She falls on top of him, and when they realize that they're without clothes, chaos unfolds. Margaret sends Andrew to the bathroom as she wants some privacy to put clothes on. She asks him to forget the earlier situation as they get in bed. Curiosity gets to her and she asks him about his father. Andrew doesn't want to answer that, so Margaret opens up about her life. She tells him some interesting facts about herself, but what touches Andrew the most is her tattoo story. She had gotten the tattoo when she was 16 after her parents had passed away. To lighten the situation, he makes her sing some of the songs from her favorite band, and that puts a smile on her face. Margaret wakes up before Andrew and puts some makeup on to look better for him. While she's doing so, she hears his mother's voice saying that they're going to come into the room to bring some breakfast. Margaret hurries and wakes Andrew so he can jump into the bed with her. Andrew's parents walk in and bring them some coffee and cinnamon rolls. Andrew and Margaret are shocked to hear that his parents want them to get married the following day. They both say no, but have to agree once Grandma walks in and tells them that she doesn't want to miss it, and that her age isn't helping the situation. Andrew starts freaking out once his parents leave the room, but Margaret manages to calm him down as she rubs his shoulders. She gives him coffee and continues acting like a real fiancé toward him. Once she realizes this, she tells him that she's going outside. She grabs a bike and heads to the forest. She gets lost but hears a chant of some sort near her. She moves closer to the sound and sees Andrew's grandma chanting to nature to make all of her dreams come true. She asks Margaret to join her, and so she does. She gets lost in the rhythm as she starts rapping a song. Andrew walks to them and calls out her name. Margaret gets out of her trance and asks Grandma if she can leave. The couple goes to town to get a new phone. Her phone isn't able to read emails, so they go to the internet cafe instead. Andrew leaves Margaret alone to figure it out. Andrew catches Margaret's attention as she sees him talking to his ex-girlfriend. She gets a weird feeling but decides to shake it off. They head back to the house but are stopped by Andrew's mother and grandma. They take Margaret to try on her wedding dress. Margaret tries on his grandma's dress, and even though it's big on her, the grandma decides to stitch it up to her fitting. She gets saddened as Grandma gives her a necklace that has been worn by all the brides in the Paxton family. She feels guilty lying to these people because they do love Andrew and her. Margaret has tears in her eyes but doesn't open up when Grandmother asks her if there's anything wrong. After the fitting, Margaret storms up and goes to Andrew's boat. She steps on the gas and starts driving the boat as fast as she can. Andrew yells at her to stop, but she doesn't want to as the rage inside her makes her do it. She tells him that they cannot get married because she doesn't want to make Andrew go through it. She doesn't want him to lie to them because they love him so much. Andrew tells her that it's fine and that she shouldn't worry, but Margaret freaks out even more at the thought of something happening to them if they were to find out the truth. Andrew notices a buoy a second before he was about to hit it, but luckily a sharp turn saves him from crashing. He doesn't notice that Margaret had fallen into the water though, as he continues to talk about their situation. He finally notices and goes to help Margaret. He pulls her onto the boat and hugs her tight. They arrive home and are met up with Mr. Gilbertson. He asks Andrew for a statement admitting that their marriage is a fraud, but Andrew says that he and Margaret are in love, and if they don't believe that, then they should come to the wedding. Margaret thanks him before he's dragged away by his grandma so she can prepare him for the wedding. The wedding comes and we see Margaret ready to go down the aisle. Andrew's grandma sends her to him. They stand in front of the priest, and before he starts the procedure, Margaret interrupts him by saying that she has something to say. She turns to the family and admits the truth. She heads to the door and tells the agent to come with her. Andrew is in shock and doesn't know what to do. He manages to escape his family's questions and heads up to their room. He sees that Margaret had left him a letter. Margaret says that his book was amazing, but she didn't want to publish it because she was afraid of losing him as her assistant. This makes Andrew crazy and he decides to go after her. His father tries to stop him and they get into a fight. Grandma fakes a heart attack so she can get them to the airport faster. Andrew arrives a little too late, but that doesn't stop him from going after Margaret. While Margaret's packing her stuff, Andre walks in and admits that he loves her. He asks her to marry him and she admits that it would be easier for her to stay alone. But Andrew kisses her and that changes. The movie ends with them going to the immigration office. Mr. Gilbertson doesn't believe them again but is more than ready to take them down.